Hello everyone, it's me, Coffee Stitcher. It is Sunday, no, it's Saturday evening. I know what day of the week this is. I know I'm early, but we have enough things going on tomorrow that it was easier to film tonight than to rush around tomorrow to try to accomplish everything. So, you're getting me a little bit early this week. Congratulations, y'all. Okay. How's everybody? Um, First, I do want to say a quick apology. Uh, Once again, I used a title over again on a video because I wasn't paying attention. So for those of you who don't make FlossTube, or those of you who do make FlossTube and maybe don't know that this is a thing YouTube has started doing, they give you an option to reuse details from a previous video, which I find incredibly helpful because then I don't have to go trying to get links over and over and over again for the projects that I've worked on. Most of the time, I am smart enough and paying enough attention to uncheck the box to not reuse the title, because I've usually already titled the video. However, apparently, this is the second time, not in a row at least, thank God, but the second time, and very close, a little too close together for my own personal taste, that I have not caught that. So, if you see a new video go up, and the title makes you go, make a comment or message me, because I would much rather y'all not realize that, I'd much rather know that I screwed up than go, man, nobody watched this video. What the heck's going on here? So, yeah. I promise I'm more than just a pretty face with this stuff. Maybe. I'm drinking Clearly Canadian because it's back in stores and it makes me feel very 90s bougie. This is the wild cherry flavor. But I can only drink half of one at a time because I drink things so slowly that it would be wasted otherwise. Y'all didn't need to know that part, but now you do. So there we go. I'm tired. Been a long day. Busy day. Enjoyable day. Long day. Alright, so for those of you who did comment, and did watch, I do appreciate you as always. There was one comment that I don't want to respond to, not because I don't want to respond, but it was posted Thursday. I kind of wonder if the person thought that they had posted on an older video, and therefore I wasn't going to see it. But because it did contain, I don't want to, but if they decided they wanted to take the comment down for other reasons, I don't want to overstep a bound I shouldn't. So, to the person who left the comment, it was not a bad comment, but to the person who left the comment, if you still want me to discuss it, please post it on this week's video. You can also message me, like on Instagram, if you would rather not, but that's fine too. But I do feel like it's a worthwhile topic of discussion. So if you're comfortable with it, please go ahead and say so again. But on to the other comments. So Kesmez had a wonderful idea that I'm going to shout out to in hopes that I will remember come time for finishing by saying it out loud. If not, anytime y'all have a finishing idea for me, especially if it's on a project I haven't actually finished yet, never be afraid to bring that up again later, because there's always a good chance that I wrote it down and then don't remember where I wrote it down, or I thought, oh, I'll remember this when it's time to actually finish it, and no, I won't, because my memory is not as good as I like to think my memory is. I'm being very self-aware this evening. But she had a great idea to use unfinished coasters as an FFO if I can't make the hoops work, because I may not have enough fabric around, because I may not have left myself enough border space on all of them. That's actually a really great idea. And I was kind of thinking on other things that might work as well, like I could do a couple of different things, maybe. So, thank you for the fabulous suggestion. Cheryl, I will call you Milady of the Tote Bag. Um, Susan Kruger says, I've been meaning to ask for several weeks, where did you get the idea of mounting your stitching on canvas? Well, the idea first came to me when I did the Pennywise and Georgie pattern a couple of years ago as a Christmas present for G, because he likes the sort of canvas wrap style of things. And then Matt, also known as MBC Stitcher, who has his own FlossTube channel here and hangs out with us on Friday nights in Virtual Stitchers, he started doing it. And so my good friend Imogen, who just launched her own Facebook, FlossTube, and you should go check it out, particularly if you enjoy sort of witchy woo-woo things, because she does a tarot card reading at the end of all of hers, which I think is really nifty. But she pestered him into creating a tutorial, and then when I heard she was pestering him, I pestered him just a smidgen. Was like, yes, I would watch that, which is probably the extent of my pestering, was, yes, I would watch that. So he put a tutorial up on his channel. I will see if I can locate it to put a link below for it. We'll see how clever I am with that sort of thing, because I don't necessarily think I am, but I'm gonna try. But let's see. So this one's probably the easiest one to show. It's not the best job. I kind of did this one in a hurry, but that's okay. But yes, he does have a tutorial. But basically, it's just you kind of wrap it. He uses batting. I am too lazy to use batting. But basically, you just kind of wrap and tuck and fold and then staple. I really should have trimmed the fabric down on this backside, but I did not because lazy. Good. Come on. There we go. For my hoop finishes, she asked about these, which these are actually made by Anchor. I've only found them at Michael's. I'm a little surprised Joann's doesn't carry them too, but I've only found them at Michael's. But they're like this. So there's no, none of the little tightening screws. It holds very, very taut. Now, one problem I do have with them, and I would strongly recommend maybe not using these if it's a piece where you need to move your hoop. They're a little tricky to finagle, and they do fit very snugly, but if you look, you can, and it's not going to show up, I'm afraid, terribly well. Let's see. If you look, you can sort of see there. It's not photographing very well, but it actually left a brown sort of ring. You can see it there. There you go. That's a good way of seeing it. Yeah, it left a brown ring. So I gotta wash this before I finish it out completely. So be aware. But I do like them. They work great for finishes. So strongly recommend. Alright, so that's the Q&A. So this week, not a lot of stitching to show, but I have a lot of haul. So we're going to start out with, I got my Fortnite fabric of the month. This one is called Wannabe. Here it is. This one's got, it's a little more modeling than they normally do on theirs, but I actually kind of like it. It gives it sort of a, ooh, it smells nice. Sort of like a dried leather look. Not dried leather, but like that sort of like dried like hide look. Hide with an I, not Hyde, like Dr. Jekyll. Although I guess if Dr. Jekyll had, I don't know, I guess depending on what the madness inside did, it might make him marble-skinned, but no, usually he's given sort of a weird green cast to his skin in animated things, so there you go. I don't know what any of that meant. I do like the David Hasselhoff one, though. He's not a great actor, but gosh darn it is he trying, and I applaud him for that. Okay, so, then I got this from eBay. Now this, full disclosure, there's probably going to be a part 2 of this story next week. So a couple of weeks ago, somebody on Instagram, in one of those things that pops up in your feed, because it follows, it was a tag I follow, and I don't even know what tag it was, but they posted this really pretty, what looked like reproduction sampler, and I'm not normally into reproduction samplers, as y'all know, but I really liked that one. They posted a finish of it, and unfortunately, I'm just going to have to put that back later. But unfortunately, before I could figure out where it was, like where they linked it to a shop from Russia, and then before I could try and get a picture to see what I could find about it, my feed refreshed and it went away, and that was the end of that. So, I mentioned in a group chat that I'm in, and one of my kind friends, like, in 2 seconds, found what I was looking for. I still don't understand how she did it. And it was Elsa Williams' Wisdom Sampler, which is, of course, not easy to find, and I have a saved search on eBay. But I was looking on eBay, and I found this one, which is called Saltbox Sampler. And I was immediately drawn to it. You can probably guess why. Chickens. Look at those chickens. They're so chickeny. And there's one chicken that's got purple in it, which really made me happy. And several chickens, one that even has green and purple. So the seller was offering it at a discount, and I favorited it, and I was thinking about it, and then I got offered another, like a better discount. So, great. I jumped on it. It wasn't pricey. I did not like it wasn't like an exorbitant amount of money that I spent, not even remotely. Certainly it was no more, I'm on par with what you still pay for new kits, or for like a hands across the sea pattern sometimes. Cheaper than a chatelaine. And it was described as like new, but without the needle, which that's fine. I prefer my own needles, so no big. Well, it came, and I can see from the pictures that the package had been opened, but I thought it was still with the original packaging, and it was not. It's in a Ziploc baggie, which, again, I don't necessarily mind, because that's how I store a lot of my projects. But it came with the floss, and it came, all the floss looks like it's on the organizer as it came off of the thing. But the pattern, which was multiple pages, it seems like, has been, I can't tell quite if it's been torn apart, or cut apart, or if it was, I can't really tell what they did, but they taped it so that you have multiple pages together, which I have to see, I haven't tried it yet to see if I can, but it's going to require some careful, it looks like it was cut, though. In fact, I'm fairly certain it was cut as I'm looking at this. So, obviously, this is a little problematic. Why? Why? Well, I messaged the seller to say, hey, you described it as like new, before I leave feedback for you. What would you, is there, what, do you want to, I don't know, because eBay doesn't let you leave feedback, that isn't positive for the first 7 days. I think after it technically delivers, but it may be 7 days after the auction closes. I'm not 100% sure, because I normally never have to do that. And they said, well, their response was, well, if you're unhappy with it, you can just return it. And I said, well, that's not really the problem. The problem is it's still something I do like and still something I want to stitch, but this is not in new condition. This is not new condition. This is not where I would have remotely classified new condition. To me, new condition, even if it had been in the Ziploc bag, would be not with the pattern cut and taped up. And they said, I was like, would you be willing to offer? I said, I would not have paid the price that I paid for it had I known that the pattern had been cut. And the response was, well, it was already offered at a discount, so I'm not going to give you any more. Which, it's not that I actually would have even wanted a partial refund, and I certainly don't want a full refund. That's not what I was looking for. But I'm disappointed by it. So I did tell her, that I would love for her to be more mindful with her descriptions, or the seller, I say her. Based on the seller's screen name, it seems like it's her, but I could be gendering when I shouldn't be. But the seller said, well, I thought it was perfectly fine, and they are selling other kits out there. So I don't want to do a buyer beware, because I do want to give them the opportunity to, to adjust. But I guess or at least I want to do a buyer beware about the specific seller, but something that, this is a lesson well learned, hard learned, I guess, to a degree, but a lesson learned about buying kits on eBay to, while the pictures did not show the pattern with enough detail for me to have guessed that this had been done, if you feel like the pattern may have been open, don't be afraid to ask them questions. So it is what it is. We'll see what happens. Like I said, I try to do everything I can before leaving any sort of non-positive feedback. But this may be a first. So, anyhow, then for my birthday I received a gift card to Stitche, so I went down to Stitche today. And I picked up several things. So, first, there is, y'all may remember this wood caddy that I've got, and part of it is in the other room at the moment. But I got this wood caddy. It's made by this wonderful Ukrainian stitcher. Her name is Yulia. I actually ran into her, and she had several things there. Which unfortunately I left sitting on the counter, so I will have to go back and get them next time. But she also makes, and this one made it in with me because it was small and not in my hand while I was trying to do other things. She makes these beautiful pins for these pin cushions that she sells. But look at this. Look how pretty that is. And it's purple and green, my two favorite colors. So I picked that up. And she's such a sweet person. And I actually have not seen her in a couple of years, so it was really nice to see her and get to catch up. And of course, it was, as always, lovely to see Marianne and Debbie and Kim and Steve. So I got that. Then, apparently, and I don't know how I missed this, but apparently DMC released 6 colors. And I asked if these were the colors that were in that one set that you could only get, together, and apparently it's not. But apparently DMC released 6 new colors, so I picked up a scan of each of those. Had no clue that they had done new colors, but it's in the 380, 390, or 3880, 3890 range, so there you go. Okay, so then, from the clearance fabric, I got a lovely piece of, or a lovely half yard of Ada in the colorway A Touch of Blue, and I'm not sure if it's Witchold, I'm not sure if it's Swigert, I'm not sure if it's hand-dyed, but it's A Touch of Blue. It's a full half yard for 20 in the clearance bin, so I snapped that up because I can always use light blue Ada. Then, what else did I pick up? So I picked up for Under the Sea by Frosted Pumpkin. It calls for deep blue sea for the waves, but against my fabric, it's gonna not look watery. It's gonna look a little odd. It's gonna look more gray. So I picked up Cool Azul by Classic Colorworks to be my watery waves. All right, then what else did I get? Well, I got the Blackbird Designs A Heart Remembers booklet. Partially because I did really like this one down here, which I would not do on multiple pieces of fabric because I just don't have that kind of patience. But I also really liked this one here. This one's just called A Heart Remembers. I liked the flowers. I don't like the colors. The colors will be changed. But I do like the pattern itself. So I picked that up. And it has a nice little dedication to the memory of Barb. So there's that. I, of course, got, finally picked up Henpeck from Plum Street. I will not do the established 1776 and the American flags. There will be something else that gets done there. What, I don't know, but I won't do that. I picked up this cute one from Heart in Hand called Blooming Tiny Town. Because look at the little town with the flowers. They were just so cute. They came with buttons. We all know how well I like buttons. So, yeah, found it. Super cute. There's apparently also a patriotic and a big-hearted tiny town. So, is that? I don't know if Cecilia Turner is now printing her signature on here or not. Interesting. Okay. Then I got this one from Heartstring Samplery, and it came with the Forbidden Fiber Company colors. It's called Really Friends. And it says, there is nothing I would not do for those who are really my friends. And it had a really cool, like, I really liked the castle and the carriage, and I liked the border, and I liked the phrase. I don't necessarily know if I will put what looks like a bride and groom on it, because I'm not really a bride and groom style person. But, although I need to see, is this if this person was a real person? Because if so, then I might feel like I shouldn't, but we'll see. Okay. But it came with the Forbidden Fiber. It's got Marianne's Broken Heart, Fanny's Friendship, and Anne's Constancy, which sound very Jane Austen-y. Like, I feel like that's what Anne Elliot, and I feel like that may be them. That may be based off of Jane Austen characters. If so, then, hey, look at me recognizing stuff. Yeah. So that is what I got. So, that was the haul for the week. What did I work on this week? Well, Sunday I worked on and I got the dolphins done in Under the Sea by Frosted Pumpkin, and I got started on the mermaid tail. Originally I was going to do a slightly different color for this part of the tail, but then I changed my mind. So, there's the tail, and here's the start of her skin. So depending on how tired I am after this video finishes, I'm planning to at least try to finish the skin on the mermaid, because I'd like to get the mermaid and the rest of part 1 finished by tomorrow. Or, not by tomorrow, but tomorrow. If that's possible. Alright, let's see. Then, worked on Pride and Prejudice on Friday. And I got a little over 200 something stitches in. So it finished out the title. It got one little doobie over here, and I finished out a thread there. So next Friday, my plan is to try and do the border and turn. I would love it if I were actually able to get over to this part of the border next Friday night, but that may be a little ambitious. So I don't think, after all, that I will probably finish the pattern as much as I would love to this month. Still going to cross my fingers that I can, but I'm not going to beat myself up if I don't. Then I worked on Summer Patchwork, and that took most of the week. Let's see. There we go. But I did finish the garden can and the flower pot motif. So I've just got these 3 left. And like I said, my plan is to do all 3 of those next month. This is also the only one of the homework assignments I got done in Magical Stitches. Probably be the only one I do get done this week. Because it ended up consuming more time than I thought. And then I was kind of looking at it, and I remember last month trying to do Summer Patchwork and a Hige next to each other was just a little... While the colors weren't similar, the style was similar-ish enough. So we'll work on the Hige later in the week. All right. So that is what I worked on this week. Yay! Now, what will I be working on next week? Well, next week's tasks are a little different. They are based on the theme this year is a murder mystery series. And this week is all about the different suspects and where they work. So it's 100 stitches on each. So the first ones are going to go on the French kitchen. And I'm working on strawberry and mint. Because I'm not gonna... I will just botch the French language every time, I'm sure. So there's where I am on it. And I've got my Miss Piggy and Kermit needleminder, because what else would be more French than Miss Piggy? Moi? So my plan is to do half of the project. I haven't decided if I'm going to go down or up. It's going to probably depend on my mood. But that one will fulfill... One of the suspects works in a coffee shop, one works in a pub, and one works as a bartender. So bartenders all need kitchen-y things, and mint gets used in a lot of beverages. And yeah, so that's how that one's being worked in. Alright, so that covers part of them. Then I've got Oz Tree, which will fulfill 2 of them. So here's where I am. Here's Oz Tree. This is by Tiny Modernist. And that one I'm going to do is going to fall under Financial Advisor. Because I work in finance and I love The Wizard of Oz, so works for me. Indie films, because there have been a few independent Oz-based films. And that's all that Oz Tree is needed for. So so far we've got 300 stitches on French, 200 on Oz Tree. Newspaper reporter will be Pride and Prejudice, because Jane Austen was a writer. Tenuous, I know. Fitness instructor will be Under the Sea, because there's a scuba diver, and scuba is a form, you have to have an instructor, and you do have to, I think, be somewhat physically able to do it. I don't really know. I've never wanted to go scuba diving, so I don't really know what's involved in that. The closest I've ever come is I did have regulars at the Starbucks I worked in for a while who did get their scuba licenses while we were there, and I jokingly picked up the scuba textbook and made up a thing called scuba rot and convinced them that it was a thing just by looking at the book and reading it and making it seem convincing. And then they found me out, and then we all had a good laugh because there is no such thing as scuba. At least I assume there's not. I really don't know that much about scuba diving. Which is funny, considering at one point in my life I wanted to be a marine biologist, but I'm too afraid of getting in the water, which is why I don't know much about scuba diving. Other than you don't have to wear the big helmets anymore, like in the one episode of Scooby-Doo, with the diving helmet. It has, like, the great face. I think those are kind of cool, actually. I'm almost done, I promise. And then the last one is something involving a ghost, so haunted house is what I'll work on. So there we go. There's where I'm at on haunted house. Woo. All right. So that's it for me this week. I hope everyone has a terrific week. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you for your comments. I sincerely apologize again about the titling error. Please do not be afraid to call me out on that, because Lord knows I am a human, and I am prone to mistakeage. So, anyhow, I will see you all next week. To those of you who observe Mother's Day, happy Mother's Day. To those of you who don't, happy Sunday. And I'll see y'all later.